In 2624, at Lijiang Academy, students gathered for the class awakening ceremony. Headmaster Liu Hang explained its significance. Knowing the first awakening determined one's future. Some dreamed of becoming powerful combat classes like berserkers, while others aimed for supportive roles like pharmacists. The world had changed since Eternal, a virtual reality game, merged with reality. Players leveled up, changed classes, and fought monsters. Zhou Yi, transmigrated from another world, stood among the students. His life was harsh. His mother had passed away, and his sister Xian suffered from a mysterious illness. Desperate to save Xian, Zhou Yi sold their home and begged for money to pay for treatment. But without finding the cause, her life remained in danger. The class awakening ceremony offered a glimmer of hope, a chance to gain abilities to save his sister and change their fate. Zhou Yi's thoughts are consumed by his sister's rising medical expenses. His part-time job barely covers the costs. To solve this, he needs a combat class to enter the maps, hunt monsters, and earn enough to get his sister treated by a higher-level priest. A level 24 mage arrives and instructs the students to step into the formation when their numbers are called. He then activates the formation with his wand. A huge purple magic circle appears, generating strong winds and pressure, making it difficult for the students to stand. Seeing the display of power, the students are impressed by the level 24 mage's abilities. Zhou Yi, bracing against the wind, thinks about how lucrative the job must be, with a mage earning a six-figure income for hosting such ceremonies. Soon, Li Xiang, the 5th class teacher, calls the first student, Zhang Chong, to step into the magic circle. All eyes are on the ceremony, knowing how crucial this moment is for their futures. Zhou Yi watches closely, fully aware that his life, and his sister's, depends on his awakening. If it doesn't go well, his chances of helping either of them will vanish. 3 types of magical cards appear in the circle: Pharmacist, Enchanter, and Decomposer. The cards seem to depend on the person's awakening. One by one, students enter the circle as their numbers are called. Finally, Zhou Yi, at number 30, steps forward. His classmates cheer for him as the class representative. Despite his strong academic performance and good stats, class awakening isn't predictable. Anything can happen. His classmates hope he awakens a powerful class. Meanwhile, Tang Tanjun, the 6th class teacher, approaches Li Yangyong and asks about his class's progress and how many students have awakened a combat class. Li Yangyong replies with 16. Tang Tanjun mocks him, boasting that 21 of his own students have awakened combat classes, including a rare one, securing their quota for the yearly exam. Li Yangyong begins to feel irritated. Seeing no movement in the magic circle, Tang Tanjun asks why the class representative isn't moving. All eyes turn to Zhou Yi, puzzled by his stillness. Zhou Yi stands in the circle, eyes closed. Suddenly, his necklace begins to glow with a golden light, leaving him confused. He realizes the light is coming from his necklace. Moments later, a system notification appears before him. System energy detected. System activating. Loading complete. Strongest class support system activated. Rookie starter gift. S+ grade talent, protection of the sacred angel. Zhou Yi stares at the system in disbelief. He rubs his eyes, but the notification is still there. Remembering the necklace, he realizes it's the same one he bought from a street stall in his previous life. It came with him after his transmigration, but all tests showed it was useless, so he gave up on it. Now the system has activated and given him a powerful gift, arriving just when he needs it most. Zhou Yi scans the system messages and sees he's received the S+ grade talent, protection of a sacred angel. His affinity with light-type abilities has significantly increased, and all light and divine skills will be amplified. In this world, talents are ranked from F to S, with higher grades providing stronger effects. Crucially, the classes that appear during the awakening ceremony are closely linked to the talents a person possesses. Outside the magic circle, Zhou Yi's class teacher watches closely, worried because Zhou Yi hasn't moved for a long time. The students also start whispering among themselves, wondering why he's just staring into the air. They speculate that it's impossible. There hasn't been a case like this for centuries. Could it be that Zhou Yi is unable to awaken a class? Suddenly, the clouds parted, and a beam of golden light struck Zhou Yi in the magic circle. The students froze, startled by the sudden change in the atmosphere. The headmaster, noticing the event, explained that it was a class awakening phenomenon. An angel emerged from the golden light, hovering in front of Zhou Yi. He stared at her, speechless. The students were silent, awed by the sight of an angel during the awakening. The angel radiated golden light, her eyes blindfolded, and exuding divine energy. After observing Zhou Yi for a moment, she floated closer, smiling. The light is your belief and the source of your power. With your faith, the sacred light will protect you and burn away all evil. I will always be with you, the angel said before merging into Zhou Yi's body. A golden symbol of divinity appeared on his forehead and eyes, and a radiant golden light enveloped him. Though he briefly looked like he was in pain, it quickly passed. Suddenly, 3 spiritual symbols appeared in front of Zhou Yi. The watching students were astonished. Some whispered in amazement. What incredible luck! Getting a new talent during the class awakening ceremony. Others speculated. It must be the protection of the sacred angel. Everyone was curious about the class, as they had never seen anything like it before. Inside the magic circle, Zhou Yi examined the symbols. Mage of Light, Sacred Priest, and Saint Knight. He had to choose one. The Mage of Light offered pure DPS with high damage but lacked protective skills. The Priest had numerous life-saving abilities and the unique resurrection skill, though their combat strength was low. The Saint Knight provided a balanced skill set for defense, offense, and buffs. While it didn't excel in any area, Zhou Yi's affinity for light made it an ideal choice. Without hesitation, Zhou Yi chose the Saint Knight. The other 2 symbols vanished. The Saint Knight began to rotate his hammer and proclaimed, humility, honesty, bravery, empathy, responsibility, to commit acts of glory, pursue justice, and fight for your life. This is a Saint Knight. After reciting the Knight's Oath, the Saint Knight stood still. Zhou Yi watched calmly as golden light erupted from his back, flowing behind the Saint Knight. A system notification appeared. Congratulations on awakening the Saint Knight class. Zhou Yi receives level 10 skills. Blade of Pure White, Slow Regeneration, and Weapon Blessing. He also gains 10 extra unassigned points as he steps out of the magic circle. Students surround him, eager to congratulate and team up with him for the final exam, hoping for high scores. The teacher intervenes, dispersing everyone. His eyes shine with a greedy look, as if he has accomplished something significant. He tells Zhou Yi to go home, rest, and visit the headmaster's office tomorrow. Noticing the teacher's unsettling expression, Zhou Yi thinks his face looks very scary. At home, Zhou Yi checks his stats and feels his heart race as he reads them. His name is Zhou Yi, with a strength of 20, constitution of 18, agility of 17, intelligence of 15, and he is a Saint Knight. His stats have increased since awakening, and he has unassigned points to allocate. He carefully decides to put 6 points into strength, 2 into constitution, 1 into agility, and 1 into intelligence. As he makes these adjustments, energy radiates from his body like golden light. Zhou Yi feels the power surging within him and reflects on how incredible this change feels. A system notification appears. Saint Knight mission activated. The daily mission. Saint K, he can choose 2 rewards upon first completion of the mission. 10 extra stat points, Saint Knight skills, or random Saint Knight equipment. Knight's Challenge Level 1 is initiated. He can choose 2 rewards upon first completion. Zhou Yi feels a surge of excitement and immediately accepts the mission. The challenge adjusts to his power level, and another notification follows. Match complete. His objective is to kill the Grady Ancient Rabbi monster. The warning is clear. Treat the trial seriously. Dying in the trial results in dying in real life. Zhou Yi is startled, but quickly finds himself inside a mine. He remembers learning that ancient Rabbi monsters inhabit these areas. They aren't naturally aggressive, but become violent when they encounter humans. Suddenly, a monster charges at him from behind. Zhou Yi dodges effortlessly, choosing to fight without using his skills. He feels his increased agility and strength. The monster becomes enraged and launches repeated attacks, but Zhou Yi evades each one. Eventually, the monster strikes Zhou Yi with its tail, wounding him. Blood seeps from his stomach, and he activates his slow regeneration skill. He realizes he was careless while healing and understands that real monsters are different despite his training. Determined to end the fight, Zhou Yi activates Blade of Pure White, unleashing a powerful cross-shaped slash that freezes the monster in place. Seizing the moment, he uses Tiger Pounce, grabbing the monster and hurling it to the ground, dealing heavy damage. After a series of attacks, he finally destroys the monster. A system notification appears. announcing that he has killed the ancient Rabbi monster and completed the trial with a score of A. He is then presented with rewards to choose from: 10 extra stat points, Saint Knight skills, or random Saint Knight equipment. He contemplates his options. Extra stat points will enhance his strength, but a good weapon will aid him in future trials. He decides to take the stat points and random equipment. A basic one-handed sword appears as his reward. As the mission concludes, the environment shifts, and He returns to his room. He checks his phone and finds a message instructing him to go to the hospital. Meanwhile, his sister One is watching TV at the hospital. A news report announces that a student triggered the phenomenon of a sacred angel descending during their class awakening. The student chose a hidden class, Saint Knight, the first occurrence in 50 years. Suddenly, a nurse interrupts and angrily shows One a bill for $10,000. Worried, Juan asks if there's a mistake because she earns only $5,000 a month from 3 jobs. The nurse snaps back, explaining that One used a lot of medicine this month, including suppressants and stabilizers, and even called a priest. She reminds One that her disease acted up and they had to care for her at midnight, telling her not to complain. Flustered, One tries to explain, but the nurse continues, saying that poor people should accept their fate and not struggle if they can't pay. At that moment, a few people approach. One places a hand on the nurse's shoulder and mentions he heard her insulting patients, suggesting they see if she keeps talking like this in the director's office. The nurse, intimidated, grumbles but leaves. Confused, One asks who he is. The man bows politely, hands her a card, and introduces himself as a friend of her big brother. He quickly arrives at the hospital where his sister is admitted. As he enters the room, he holds the medical bill and shows it to Ziyun. He explains that he just wants to pay the bills, but the hospital system indicates a balance of $10,000 that needs to be paid. Confused, he asks Ziyun if she knows what's happening. Ziyun feels happy to see her brother. At that moment, the 2 men who had come to meet Ziyun earlier are interacting with her. They turn to look at Zhou. Puzzled, Zhou asks who they are. One of them stands up, approaches Zhou, and introduces himself as Zhou Wenbing, the mayor's secretary, wanting to discuss some matters. Zhou Wenbing extends his hand to shake Zhou's hand. Seeing the secretary, Zhou wonders why someone like him is approaching, knowing that the mayor is the most powerful man in Jiangli City and that his secretary can sometimes represent the mayor himself. Zhou shakes hands with Zhou Wenbing and suggests that the patient room is not suitable for their conversation. They decide to go elsewhere. As they leave, Zhou asks the other man to stay behind to accompany Miss Yun. Ziyun, Zhou's sister, plays happily with the man, unaware that her brother has achieved a hidden class. At a cafe, people are already talking about Zhou. A girl tells her friends about the hidden class revealed at the second academy. They ask who it was, and she shows them a leaked photo of Zhou, commenting that he looks handsome. Nearby, Zhou and Zhou are ready to continue their discussion. Zhou congratulates Zhou on receiving the Sacred Angel's S-grade talent protection and Saint Knight class awakening. Zhou feels happy and remarks that he was lucky. Zhou laughs, noting that receiving an S-grade talent during a regular class awakening ceremony isn't something achievable with just luck. He then places a special Citibank wallet key in front of Zhou, indicating that the mayor is interested in him. Zhou informs the media to leave him alone and arranges cultivation resources for Armic to prepare for the exam. The resources are stored in the Citibank vault, and he possesses the only key. Utilizing these resources, Zhou can quickly increase his power. Xiaowen presents the keys and inquires if Zhou has any additional requests. Zhou contemplates that the mayor sees potential in him and believes investing in him is worthwhile, even though he knows there are no free lunches and the mayor expects repayment someday. Xiaowen continues, explaining that a professional medical team will now serve Miss Wan 24 hours a day and that the mayor has contacted a level 36 second-grade priest to come to Jiangli City. This offer presents a great opportunity for Zhou, allowing him to achieve his goals while ensuring his sister receives the care she needs. Zhou accepts the offer without hesitation. At the hospital, Zhou tells his sister, Ziyun, about the offer. Her face lights up with happiness. She excitedly asks to stay close to him. Zhou tries to push her away, telling her to focus on her recovery. But Ziyun holds him and says every class has exclusive skills and asks about his. She listens as Zhou explains his 3 Saint Knight skills: Blade of Pure White for attacks, Slow Regeneration for healing, and Weapon Blessing for support. He uses slow regeneration on her, and she feels as if she's getting a full-body massage in a hot spring. Zhou asks if she feels better, and she nods happily. Her pain gone, and her movements easier. He chose Saint Night to help reduce her pain, even though it can't fully heal her. Zhou is happy to see his sister smiling, because he does everything for his family. The next day, Zhou goes to the academy with the headmaster. The headmaster tells him that dozens of universities have contacted him to recruit him. For teachers from the top 10 universities are especially interested. He encourages Zhou to fight for as many resources as possible. These teachers are secondary Awaken class holders above level 35, offering the best training. Zhou asks which universities are interested. The headmaster lists Rongyong University, Chuan-Nan University, Jia University, and Hen University. Zhou wonders why the top 3 universities aren't among them. The headmaster explains that the top 3 always recruit based on exam results and never consider talent or special admissions. They reach the room where the teachers from the 4 universities are gathered. Outside the door, Zhou and the headmaster stand while inside. The teachers argue over who will get Zhou's attention. Zhou and the headmaster stand outside the room, listening to the heated argument among the university representatives. They debate over who will recruit Zhou. One mentions that Chuan-Nan University is 4,000 kilometers away from Jiangli City and questions the lengths others have gone to be here. The representative from Chuan-Nan University mentions using a super long-distance teleportation array, which consumes a level 30 magic core each time. He confidently declares that Chuan-Nan University will secure Zhou, believing their skills will speak for themselves. The headmaster, Luo Hang, opens the door and announces Zhou's arrival. He introduces the recruitment teachers, Mr. Zhou Tianfu from Rongyang University, Mr. Liebing from Chuan-Nan University, Ms. Zhu Yu from Hanqing University, and Mr. Yu Yan from Anji University. Zhou bows respectfully and greets them, impressing the teachers with his humility despite his hidden class. Mr. Jan Fu steps forward to present his offer. He proposes that if Zhou joins Rongyang University, he will receive 2 million yuan and an exclusive skill book for 3 Saint Night classes. This prompts Zhou to think. A regular family's monthly income is only 6,000 yuan, making 2 million and rare skill books extraordinary. Even the mayor hadn't provided resources at this level. Li Bing from Chuan-Nan University then mocks Jan's offer and presents a better one. He offers Zhou 3 million yuan upon admission, 3 Saint Night skill books annually, and classes taught by a level 56 tertiary Awaken Knight. This offer surpasses Jan's, making both Zhou and the headmaster consider the implications. A level 56 knight is among the planet's elite, and becoming his disciple would provide unmatched benefits. As they think, Ms. Yu from Hang University makes her offer. Hang University has limited admission funds, only 2 million yuan, but when Zhou is offered admission to the university, they promise to give him a B-class cultivation resource immediately. As soon as the B-class resource is mentioned, his headmaster quickly looks at him, urging him to accept because such resources are priceless. With treasures like these, even pigs can be trained into the strongest of monsters. All the recruitment teachers wait to hear Zhou's decision after making their offers. However, he refuses special admission from all of them. His headmaster beside him goes completely crazy upon hearing this. Ms. Yu angrily asks why he is declining. Zhou explains that he wants to attend one of the top 3 universities. Among the top 10, the top 3 are Sukong University, Jing University, and Modi University, praised as the best in the country. They only recruit 1,000 students each year, and their admission is not limited to humans. Elves, giants, and other races can enter as well. Other races are naturally stronger than humans. With countless elites in the country, entering the top 3 universities is as hard as climbing to the heavens. Jan laughs loudly and then angrily tells Zhou that he thought he was a good kid, but now sees him as an ignorant brat. He says Zhou has lost too much in his first 18 years and lacks the resources to catch up. Jan points out that Zhou is weak with low stats, making it difficult for him to enter the top 3 universities. Even if he manages to get in, without focused training, he'll remain at the bottom for life. As he speaks, Jan exerts his internal energy pressure on Zhou. The force is so intense that Zhou struggles to stand. Thanks to his recent training, he's able to withstand it. Luo Hang quickly steps in front of Zhou, releasing his own pressure, and angrily confronts Jan, asking if he intends to bully his student on his own grounds. Ms. Yu watches from a distance, noticing that Zhou is standing up to Jan's aura for so long. She realizes there's something special about him. After this, Jan withdraws his aura and starts to leave. The other teachers also begin to depart, saying that student recruitment looks not only for potential, but also for attitude. They believe that with such an attitude, Zhou will become nothing even if he's recruited. They bid farewell to Headmaster Luo, mentioning they won't prolong their stay since Zhou has such high ambitions. Seeing them leave, the headmaster tries to stop them, asking them to give the child one more chance. Mizu, while leaving, approaches Zhou and says he's brave, but that Mr. Zhao's words are true. She mentions that there are countless elites in their country and that other races are innately stronger than humans. Entering the top 3 universities is as hard as climbing to the heavens. Zhou laughs and answers that he will prove his power with the result of the exam. There is one more month until the exam. He is definitely able to raise his strength to a horrifying degree with the help of his system. He is confident that he will gain admission into all 3 universities. He asks his friends what they think. He frets over whether he can get into any of these 3 universities. In the comments, he asks for opinions. Jan reflects upon listening to Zhou. She notes that it has been a long time since she sees such strong and resolute eyes. She feels as if she has gone back to the days of fighting on the front lines. They stay too long in a peaceful place, and even their mindset seeks stability. She no longer shares the same mindset as those young people. She departs from there and tells Judy her last words. He says that he is waiting for their results. She says they will meet again, Mr. Shuai. The story then shifts to a month later when the exam begins. The students say that this time the examiner is Demon Yang. That examiner makes all students fear failing. The students express worry about the examiner, noting that he is the one who created those dangerous questions 2 years ago, and their district's average score that year is a new low record. Some of the students bring up Zhou, and they all begin discussing him among themselves. He appears to be powerful. A portal appears, showing details about the map called Secret Realm, revealing all the information about the Secret Realm. Students take their exams in the Secret Realm, deep inside the Dark Forest. Levels range from 10 to 13, and the difficulty includes easy, hard, and nightmare. Deep inside the Dark Forest. It lists the difficulty levels and dangers, like cat monsters. The group talks about the challenges they might face. An instructor warns them to be careful, reminding them of the risks. Everyone gets ready for the test. Different classes and their members are shown on screens, each with unique challenges and numbers. Some are in groups, while others are alone. The Class 1 Vanguard team faces a difficult task with a minimum of 8 members. Class 2 goes in solo, and Class 3 has a team of 4. A student named Zhou appears, gaining attention as he faces the map alone. The spectators comment on his choice to go solo, recognizing the high risk involved. Zhou, from Class 5, enters the Dark Forest alone, taking on a nightmare-level challenge as a Saint Knight. The difficulty level and solo status are displayed on screen, highlighting his dangerous choice. He even selects the nightmare difficulty, which has a 40% death rate, making his attempt even more risky. The audience, including Director of Education Zhang Tao, is surprised as they watch the scene unfold. 2 officials discuss Zhou's situation. The city council has given him resources to ensure success. They worry that if he fails and dies, it will damage the city's reputation. The education director feels very nervous because the city council gives a lot of resources to Zhou this month to give him the chance of getting a good result. If he dies on the map, the entire Lijiang city government's public opinion takes a hit. Zhou takes a step that indicates he is ignoring the support of the government. The education director thinks about this and gets very angry, but the headmaster sitting next to him tries to calm him down by saying that he shouldn't worry. Zhou is not a rash person. He has his own trump card here. Inside the map, many bloodthirsty red eyes are simultaneously after Rzhoui. Shuai is aware of all of them, and to eliminate them, Shuai unleashes his weapon. There is no fear in Zhou's eyes after seeing so many monsters of nightmare difficulty. It seems as if he achieves a lot in this 1 month. However, just then, a cat monster reaches full speed to attack Zhou. Seeing him, Rzhoui is ready. He states that they have come at the right time, and as soon as the monster comes close to him, he kills the monster right there in one attack with his weapon. It increases strength by 7%, and after equipping, it reduces agility by 2%. As the hero kills the monster, a divine gold-colored aurora emerges from the sides of his body, and the passion to do something is visible in his eyes. After killing the monster, Zhou stands there with very angry eyes. There is blood on his face, but he wants to go to the best university, so he has to do more than this. Meanwhile, they see some stats of Zhou Yi, in which his strength is 45, his constitution is 51, his agility is 43, and his intelligence is 52. Seeing them, Zhou Yi thinks in his mind that in 1 month, he reaches level 10, but his average stat points have reached an outrageous 47, equal to level 13. Even in the entire Suang district, he enters the top rankings of examinees that a long time passes since this one monster is killed, but they see that many monsters follow Zhou Yi, who do not come out of fear after the death of one of their companions. Therefore, Zhou Yi decides to go and kill them himself, rushing towards all of them at his full speed. Zhou Yi quickly applies level 4 weapon blessing on his weapon, which is of grade C. Condensed holy light increases the attack power and accuracy of weapons for teammates within a certain range. After this, friends, Zhou Yi cuts all those monsters one by one, like carrots and radishes, as if he plays with them. Under the S+ grade talent, the Protection of Sacred Angels effect enhances the Saint Knight exclusive skill Weapon Blessing as well. They increase the strength of a single-bladed axe by 21 points. Other students are jealous of Zhou Yi having such a powerful buff, since the university exam limits their weapons to below 3-star bronze. But the axe in Zhou Yi's hand has the same effect as a 5-star bronze. After buffing, each statistic is enough to cover the distance that exists between Zhou Yi and everyone else in the exam. Zhou Yi kills them all one by one. Seeing their comrades dying continuously, some monsters attack Zhou Yi simultaneously. But Zhou Yi immediately unleashes the Blood of Pure White skill and destroys them all in a matter of seconds. The Blood of Pure White skill that Zhou Yi activates is of level 5 and grade C. In a way, they see that there is an electric current running in his hands, and he cuts all those monsters with both his hands, due to which his XP continuously increases and continuous notifications show on the system screen inside the map. Zhou Yi beats them continuously while the students sitting outside are completely surprised to see Zhou Yi's performance. All of them one by one say, "Wow." The teacher of a different class wonders how such a good student is in class 5. The education director also says seriously after seeing Zhouy's performance that Zhouy's combat mindset is strong, but his methods are unwise. The hero continuously destroys them all with his axe and his lightning, just like they cut vegetables in their house. Zhou Yi cuts these monsters like this, sometimes with his axe, sometimes with his lightning. He attacks all of them and kills them one by one. Zhou Yi becomes a kind of death god for all those cat monsters. At this time, their Zhou Yi stands on the dead bodies of those cat monsters. Now, there is not even a single cat monster left there. He kills all of them. However, just then the portal to the next round opens. Zhoui is a bit surprised at first, seeing the portal suddenly, but he understands that it is an entrance to the next round. After overcoming every challenge, KK, the favored host, greets everyone on Qian Live, keeping his audience updated with complete information about the match. The live stream shows on screen as KK excitedly shares every detail, announcing the appearance of Shining Saint Knight, the most popular student with S-grade talent. As Zhou Yi's exam takes an exciting turn, KK highlights the moment by showing the timing on his phone, completing the first wave of the Nightmare map in just 3 minutes and 17 seconds, 29 seconds faster than last year's top achiever. KK's excitement is so intense that the cameraman worries as KK repeatedly moves in front of the camera. Meanwhile, students in the audience discuss how Zhou Yi swings and slashes without tiring, wondering about his high constitution points. Another student mentions Director Jiang's opinion that wasting stamina on the first wave is foolish, making it clear they don't fully grasp Zhou Yi's strategy yet. The students continue their discussions until Mr. Lai interjects, reminding Zhang Fei to focus on the exam, while Director Jiang does not mislead them. Zhang Fei, smiling playfully, teases Mr. Lai by noting his enjoyment of Zhou Yi's performance, though Mr. Fei, visibly annoyed, does not hide his satisfaction as he mutters to stop talking nonsense, a devilish smile betraying his inner delight. Everyone eagerly anticipates Zhou Yi's next move, as he has performed impressively so far, but faces the next stage filled with powerful monsters. Inside the map, Zhou Yi stands ready, assessing the monsters one by one using his evaluation technique and checking various types. First, he checks the Minotaur, a level 14 silver-grade damager with skills like Berserk, Wild Rush, War Stomp, and Super Body. Then he evaluates the Light Cat monster, a level 12 bronze-grade creature skilled in light-type abilities and healing techniques. Next, the Fire Cat monster arrives, level 13, and also bronze grade, mastering fire-type skills like Fireball and Fire Surge, before he assesses the Dark Cat monster, level 11 and another bronze grade, specializing in dark-type skills and curses. Zhou notices the regular warrior-type cat monsters, light cat healers, fire and dark mages, and the silver grade minotaur dealing high damage, forming a classic team of warriors, healers, and mages. The first stage had scattered bandits, but now it's trained soldiers, and he knows the risk of death has increased 100-fold. The monsters roar and charge, Minotaur and others rushing at him directly, while the fire and dark mages prepare their skills from a distance. Before Zhou can react, he's ensnared by the dark mage's curse, but he stays calm while the audience outside erupts in alarm, shouting in concern. Inside, the Minotaur and others close in. Fire monsters unleash fiery assaults, and the curse tightens its grip. Observing their teamwork, Zhou smiles as warriors rush forward, mages buff, and healers apply effects, remarking with a grin that their teamwork isn't bad. Outside, the tension is palpable. Some viewers close their eyes, unable to watch the chaos unfolding, while others watch with bated breath, wondering what will happen next. Zhou stands ready as the monsters charge with fierce aggression. Suddenly, a brilliant golden light glows in his hands, spreading over his body, illuminating his eyes, and radiating a powerful golden aura. With newfound confidence, Zhou activates his new technique, the Cross of Sacred Light. As he completes it, a massive golden cross materializes behind him, instantly affecting the surrounding monsters. Those approaching Zhou scream in agony and collapse, dying without further combat. The cross's brilliance is so intense that even distant monsters struggle to see, while those nearby are almost completely obliterated. The Cross of Sacred Light is a formidable level 4 grade B skill that summons a sacred light to form a cross behind the user, causing continuous light elemental fire damage to every enemy within its range. The monster attacking Zhou is already dead, and he stands calmly, surveying the battlefield littered with dust and fallen monsters, with only the Minotaur left. The audience erupts in chaos, astounded by Zhou's strength. Low-level monsters are annihilated instantly, and the crowd buzzes in disbelief. Someone exclaims that the Saint Knight is not just a support class. Education Director Jan is shocked, unable to believe his eyes as he watches Zhou wield a grade B skill, similar to a talent skill. Skill grades range from lowest to highest, with 7 grades in total. The higher the grade, the more powerful and rare it becomes. Director Jan is baffled, thinking Zhou should only be able to access a grade C skill with the resources provided by the government. He realizes Zhou is far more complex, hiding secrets that even he cannot fathom. Zhou faces the Minotaur alone. The creature points its axe, growling that Zhou is the last one. Zhou smiles, undeterred. Enraged, the Minotaur activates Berserk and Superior Body, then slams the ground with War Stomp. The earth splits, but Zhou dodges effortlessly. The Minotaur charges with Wild Rush, immune to interruptions. Before it lands a blow, Zhou counters with an air slash, sending the beast flying back. Zhou notices the Minotaur's thick skin is tough, so he follows up with Blade of Pure Light. The Minotaur endures, but Zhou knows he needs more force. He channels his strength and lands a powerful blow, piercing through its defenses. The Minotaur crashes down, blood dripping from its mouth. Zhou, cold and composed, asks if it's still alive, raising his foot. The helpless Minotaur, terrified, pleads with its eyes, but Zhou shows no mercy. He stomps down, crushing its head. The beast lets out one final scream before dying. The portal to the next round appears. Outside the battlefield, the audience erupts in excitement, amazed by Zhou's astonishing feat of taking down a 4-meter-tall Minotaur with a single swing, even while it's in Berserk mode. Cheers and shouts of admiration fill the air. The host, thrilled, announces Zhou clears the second stage in just 59 seconds. Education Director Jan beams with pride, praising Zhou's timing and strength. He exclaims it's unbelievable that this student only awakened his class a month ago. The headmaster, elated, remarks that fortune is fleeting and it's time their academy has an elite. As Zhou heads toward the boss room, some in the crowd wonder why he isn't taking a break to recover. The education director, noticing this, feels concerned and frustrated, fearing the loss of a potential advantage due to a lack of rest. The headmaster, trying to calm him, suggests Zhou he must have his reasons and urges patience. Inside the dungeon, Zhou reaches the boss room and faces the Minotaur King, a formidable level 16 gold-grade monster. The beast roars in rage, furious that a human has dared to enter its domain. Zhou quickly evaluates the monster's stats, but before he can finish, the Minotaur King lunges, shaking the ground and turning the palace into a battlefield. Zhou responds instantly, activating all his buffs: Blessing of Dawn, Gift of Courage, Gift of God, and Gift of Protection, transforming into the initial form of the Saint Knight. The Minotaur King easily blocks Zhou's attacks, hitting back with such powerful blows that Zhou doesn't think even a 4-buffed axe could cut through his tough hide. Rzhouy was completely worn out because the form he had changed into was using up a huge amount of energy. His hard work pays off as he pierces a small part of the Minotaur King's body, leaving the Minotaur King with a light scratch on his hand. The Minotaur King let out a scream of rage because the game was making him lose his cool. With a fierce resolve, he charged at Rzhouy with his gun drawn, ready to kill him and end this never-ending battle. Even though Rzhouy dodges the attack very well, each hit from the Minotaur King is so powerful that it destroys the scenery and covers the area in a thick cloud of dust. Zhou moves back and expertly avoids the Minotaur King's attack. As quickly as lightning, the Minotaur King charges forward and unleashes a strong attack. The move comes at Zhou so fast that it hits him in the stomach and sends him flying through the air. Before hitting a wall, he crashes into a few posts and breaks 4 or 5 of them. Nowhere in the dungeon could you hear a message that said, "Congratulations on completing the Nightmare Difficulty Deep Dark Forest Dungeon." The message told to Zhou how proud the game's developers were that they had finished the Nightmare level Deep Dark Forest Dungeon. Zhou finished his test to get into college and beat the maze in an amazing 9 minutes and 24 seconds. The main character was tired from the fight and was surprised when another notice popped up in front of him. The level of his security is SSS. Congratulations on achieving first place in clearing this map. When he read the message, it surprised him. First place. Did this mean they would become the best in Kong District? When MC saw his new record, he loved it so much. He jumps with joy as he thinks about what he has done. He thinks about the year he moved, the death of his mother, the illness of his sister, and the huge amount of debt he got from Jan's medical bills. Everyone was putting a lot of pressure on him at that time, but he stayed strong and didn't give up even though things were hard. He thought that if he couldn't improve his stats, he would keep working on his fighting skills and keep his fighting spirit alive. He remembers the moment he got the system for the first time. It was a big turning point in his life that gave him a second shot. But he still has a strong grip on fate. He is determined to work harder than everyone else and take advantage of the chance. As he thinks about all of these things, he becomes more serious. Her heart stayed firm, determined not to change. There was no way that anyone could change it. When the alerts stop, a gateway appears and serves as the exit. It was time for the Zhou to claim their prize, so they went inside. How much does he have made on this map altogether? There were 5,212 experience points and 20 skill points given to the Zhou. With the increase of 20 free points, he has moved up 3 levels in this match at the same time. He is at a very important point. The next prize you'll get when you hit level 13 is the Forest Belt, which has great stats. It boosts strength and constitution by 10% and 7%, respectively. You have to reach at least level 10 to wear it. What happened? During the battle in the forest, the user keeps getting improvements that are tied to their constitution. These improvements restore 3 life points, 3 stamina, and 3 mana. The Forest Ring is the next thing on the list. It is a great ornament that raises fertility by 8% and intelligence by 10%. It needs to be at least level 10. The next thing on the list is wild strawberries, which are known to recover a small amount of mana when eaten. The Minotaur King card is the last thing shown. It is a gold level card known for making items 20% stronger after they have been enchanted. People in the crowd cheer loudly when Zhou comes out of the opening. The crowd cheered and welcomed him with open arms. "I love you," the girls yelled. Some people started to see Zhou as a god, while others said he was great. Zhou stands there stunned and unable to believe what has happened to all of these people. Suddenly, a group of people walks up to him. The headmaster and the education director walk up to Zhou and smile broadly. At the same time, the media keeps flashing their cameras at him to record everything. The headmaster laughed out loud as he spoke to Zhou and said, Clearing the nightmare difficulty by yourself in 10 minutes is an honor for the Second Academy that has never been seen before. With years of experience studying for tests, it's clear that Zhou Yi has what it takes to become the best in Sukong District. Zhou Yi seemed to have a bright future. Zhou Yi said in a humble tone, "You are praising me too much," when he heard the headmaster's compliment. One of the students' cars pulled up out of the blue at that very moment, shocking them. People in the crowd are shocked and wondering who is driving the car and why they would be so bold as to enter the place in this way. One of the students screams in shock, "Holy _____. Isn't this something amazing that can turn on flight mode? The S-400? The car, which is worth as much as a house in the city, amazes everyone who sees it." When Zhou Yi was ready to get in the car, the education director waved and said, "The result will come in at least 3 days. They will be told as soon as it gets there." Zhou Yi expressed thanks to Director Jan for this. The headmaster was very happy and told Zhou Yi to take a break and stay positive because good news was on the way. Following this, the story moves to a hospital. After they recently talked, Xiao Wenbing quickly kept his promise and made sure that Yin was moved to the hospital's luxury room, where a dedicated medical team would keep an eye on him 24 hours a day. Zhou Yi went to the place with the plan of meeting his sister there. As soon as he gets into the elevator, a nurse greets him with a smile. Zhou Yi tells the nurse, "I've come here to meet Yin." He has a good news for her. He tells the elevator to go up to the 26th floor. "I heard your exam was today," the nurse tells him. "Results that are excellent must be achieved." As the lift goes up, the temperature slowly drops with each passing second. The nurse stood there confused by the cool air, but Zhou's mind started to put together the hints that were all around them. When Zhou Yi and the nurse get to the 26th floor, they are shocked and amazed by the absolutely stunning view they see. It was fully frozen on the floor. The area is covered in ice, and the doctors can't move because of it. Zhou Yi became very worried about his sister when he saw what was going on and ran inside quickly. When the nurse tries to stop Zhou Yi, she too becomes immobile as soon as she puts her hand out just past the lift. Zhou Yi goes to the hospital to share the good news with his sister, but upon reaching there, he sees that his sister is in serious trouble due to her bloodline. As soon as Zhou Yi enters the room, he sees an ice dragon in front of him. The dragon, in spirit form, comes out of his sister's body and freezes the entire room. All the doctors present are also frozen, and his sister writhes in unconscious pain on the bed. Seeing this, Zhou Yi cannot control himself. Unable to watch his sister suffer, he prepares to attack the dragon, gathering energy for a physical attack. He is ready to strike. He cannot bear to see her in pain anymore. However, before Zhou Yi attacks, the healer, King, stops him. King heals Zhou Yi's sister in the room. Despite the situation, she remains safe due to King's healing power, but both of King's hands are half frozen. Zhou Yi stops his attack, understanding the reason behind King's intervention. He approaches King, who devotes all her energy to saving Xian and is visibly worried. King feels very tired, and apart from her hands, her feet are also frozen, but she continues to work. The spiritual dragon emits extremely cold air throughout the room. Any normal person is there, and they freeze within minutes. However, since both Zhou Yi and King are awakeners, they can protect themselves to some extent. Zhou Yi looks at King with a questioning expression, trying to understand what is happening and why she stops him from attacking. Still focused on her healing, King explains to Zhou Yi that if they attack carelessly, Xian's heart shatters. Zhou Yi wonders why there is a dragon there, as he has never seen it before. King informs him that Xian's cold disease suddenly ignites and freezes everyone around her. At this moment, King appears exhausted. She tries to control Xian's condition for a long time, but it's clear she can't hold on much longer. She tells Zhou Yi that the best she can do right now is to stop the cold from spreading beyond that floor. He urges her to hurry and get out. Zhou Yi becomes emotionally serious and asks what will happen to Ziyun. It is important to note that sometimes Zhou's sister is called Zue and sometimes Ziyin, so one should not get confused. Similarly, Zhou's name changes, being called JY or something else in different contexts. King, feeling disappointed, expresses that without a high-level priest, he can only do so much. Seeing King's disappointment, Zhou Yi understands that she cannot help much more. Determined to protect his sister, he steps forward and uses all his skill points from the system to upgrade slow recovery. As soon as all the skill points are used, slow recovery at level 4 instantly enhances to level 10, becoming slow regeneration. The skill gradually heals the health and mana of teammates within a certain range for a certain period of time. Without wasting time, Zhou uses the enhanced slow regeneration on his sister. A divine light spreads throughout the room, and a divine symbol appears behind Zhou, visible due to the skill's increase. The effect of the skill is so powerful that King, whose body is already more than half frozen, returns to normal. Seeing this, King exclaims in surprise that the magic in the Saint Knight's healing skill is very powerful. He says it can even surpass the effect of a level 23 priest like him. On the other hand, Zhou focuses fully on healing his sister with all his energy. The ice slowly starts to melt from her body, which is now completely frozen. Zhou manages to melt a significant amount of ice, but he knows he won't be able to cure her completely. He tells King that he will hold it there. He goes and informs Secretary Xiao immediately. She asks him to invite a high-level priest soon. King hears this and replies that a high-level priest has a packed schedule. Secretary Xiao books the appointment for next week. They say that even if they call her now, she won't be able to come in time. Zhou looks at her seriously and tells her that all she needs to do is inform Secretary Xiao that if he can call a high-level priest there, she promises to do one thing for him unconditionally in the future. King hesitates at first, but then, after considering it, leaves the room, stating that he is going. Inside the room, Zhou is busy taking care of his sister's safety. Ziyan experiences a burst of cold every night for the past year. Under the influence of the cold aura, she experiences intense pain across her body. Zhou knows the cold is becoming more severe recently, but he doesn't realize it will get this bad. A lot of time passes since Zhou starts using his skills, and gradually, with the onset of darkness, the entire building starts to freeze. Inside the room, Zhou is engulfed by ice. A thin layer of ice begins to form on his body, and it looks as if his power is about to end at any moment. Even though he is still saving his sister with slow regeneration, the spiritual ice dragon completely targets him. Due to this, Zhui's power continuously decreases. Suddenly, a green energy ball appears and attacks the dragon. The energy ball strikes the ice dragon repeatedly, causing it to feel pain. Xian feels the pain due to her connection with the dragon. Seeing this, Zhou shouts angrily to stop. He warns not to touch her. At that moment, the energy ball hits Zhou directly in the stomach, throwing him far away from the dragon's range. A high priestess appears and, after pushing Zhou aside, commands the dragon to come towards her. The ice dragon, furious because of her attack, charges at her without delay. However, the high priestess is ready. She continuously attacks the dragon with her weapon, using spell-like attacks. Wherever she strikes, that area of the dragon gets captured in a spell. The spiritual ice dragon feels helpless, completely trapped by those magical spells and unable to move. Now, only its mouth remains free, but it is soon captured by the priestess as well. The dragon is trapped, and its anger is visible in its eyes. The high priestess delivers a final, powerful attack on the dragon and sends it back into Xian's body. As soon as the dragon enters Xian's body, her condition normalizes, and Zhou feels relieved to see that she is finally cured. Afterward, the high priestess uses her power to melt the ice on the entire floor. Then, she looks at Zhou and states that he must be Zhou. He hears about her. After stabilizing the situation, the high priestess introduces herself. She introduces herself as Chui Lia, from King Yin City, a level 35 secondary awakened priest. Hearing this, Zhou responds that it is nice to meet Miss Chui. Chui then explains that Director Jan specifically asks him to treat her sister in advance. She has some thoughts about Zhou, recalling that if Director Jan doesn't tell her about Zhou's potential to take first place, she doesn't break the rules. Seeing Zhou fight the cold for so long, she decides that Director Jan does not lie to her. Zhou asks Chui about his sister's condition and whether it is curable. Chui explains that cold energy seeps out and solidifies into a form, which is a sign of bloodline awakening. Hearing this, Zhou is completely surprised and can only utter two words, bloodline awakening. The High Priestess continues that when the Eternal Game first appears, many players choose characters from other races like elves, giants, demons, and more. The game merges with reality, and those players inherit the traits of those bloodlines. People with elven bloodlines have greener eyes and longer ears, while humans with giant bloodlines grow up to 3 to 4 meters tall. Over the past 200 years, these players intermarry with humans, and their bloodlines become diluted. Their traits and powers gradually fade, except under a special condition known as bloodline awakening. Chewie adds that bloodline awakening can bring both misfortune and fortune. A successful awakening allows individuals to control the power of other races, and their level and learning ability are greatly enhanced as well. They say that if the awakening fails, it can result in paralysis or even death on the spot. She explains more about Zhou Yi's sister's condition. He says that her sister is suffering from the cold because her body cannot handle her bloodline. After seeing the ice dragon, he confirms that her sister possesses a rare, freezing bloodline. She states that if she wants to carry forward this rare bloodline, she needs to change her constitution. Chewie informs Zhou Yi about a special treasure, the freezing lotus that can alter a human's constitution. Xian thinks this rare item might help her adapt to her bloodline, giving her a chance to control it and avoid further suffering. However, she mentions that the treasure, the freezing lotus, is extremely rare. The last time it appears is at an auction 30 years ago, where an unknown person buys it for 1,300 million. The high priest shares some final advice with Zhou Yi before leaving. She warns him that, just like his sister cannot suppress the cold any longer, it automatically erupts in 3 months. She mentions a last resort option, the Great Sealing skill, which seals Xian's bloodline. However, this means Xian is unable to level up in the future. Hearing this, Zhou Yi feels a wave of sadness wash over him as he sits in the room, looking at his sister with a heavy heart. He focuses on his phone, yet his mind is occupied with worry for his sister. 5 days later, Zhou Yi engages in intense training. He completes some of his daily tasks, including deep squats, push-ups, sit-ups, and weapon swinging, all 200 times each. As soon as he finishes, a system notification appears, prompting him to choose a reward. Zhou Yi usually selects stat points as his daily quest reward. As a Saint Knight, he recognizes that constitution and intelligence are crucial, but he also understands that he cannot ignore other stats. He employs the 2-3-3-2 method to distribute his points evenly across 4 stats, ensuring balanced development to minimize his weaknesses. At that moment, another notification pops up, announcing that the exam results are out. Zhou Yi expresses his thrill upon discovering that he has secured first place in the Sukong district exam. The rewards start pouring in as he receives the level S divine skill, God Hand, along with the S grade divine item, the one-time mystery skill of exorcism. He receives the rare skill, Punishment of Light, along with 30 free stat points and 30 skill points. Zhou Yi's first place ranking is making waves everywhere because of his amazing achievement. News anchors talk about the district's leading scorer, and Zhou Yi's name is now well known as the Black Horse in the headlines. Jiangli City is being announced as the top city all around. RMC is in the news because, even though he is just level 10, he takes first place, a really surprising achievement. When RMC steps into the secret realm, he is at level 10, and now everyone is talking about him. They discuss his awakening ceremony, where a special event takes place, showing right away that he comes in first. The headlines talk about his awakening class and his unique ability. After the results, Education Director Jan is surrounded by the media, all eager to interview him about RMC. The director praises RMC, saying he has always believed Zhou Yi would succeed since his awakening as a Saint Knight. People watching the news seem puzzled about RMC's class. They can't believe that the person who comes in first is a Saint Knight, thinking of it as just a support class. Students are gathered, chatting about the news and showing their surprise. A student believes they deserve honesty. A Saint Knight spends a lot of time clearing a realm by themselves. People at a nearby table are chatting about RMC. Someone yells that it's level 10, and they conquer the Nightmare Realm all by themselves. He wonders if she is joking with him. He wants to know if he did something wrong. A girl pulls out her phone and shares a recording, saying she has the video. He says that everything he does is genuine. Everyone is surprised as they see RMC perform in the recording. They begin talking in a puzzled way about how strong it is. They question why the Holy Cross seems more powerful than a top-level mage's fire magic. He thinks about the weapon blessing, a gift from God, and the blessing of courage, wondering if anyone can keep track of how many boosts he has. At the same time, a young man with red hair, wearing red clothes, observes the footage of RMC's battle in the Hidden Realm. He sees the whole fight and notes how long it takes RMC to finish it. The young man with red hair is clearing the same secret realm, but RMC is 20 seconds ahead of him. He is really angry, seeing RMC as his opponent. He is an awakener of fire, with flames flickering around him as he thinks about RMC. Angry, he shouts that he has the nerve to take his honor. When his fire touches something close by, a little explosion happens in his room. His final words before the explosion are that is calling for his own demise. The scene changes to the main character as he strolls down the street, glancing at his phone. He notices a few messages. The Jiangli government puts 5 million into the account that ends with 7013. They want to check if the transfer is okay. The Jiangli government has moved 2 million into the account that ends with 7013. She requests to verify the transfer. While he is reading these messages, his phone starts to ring. He picks up the phone and asks Secretary Xiao what's going on. She wonders if something is bothering me. Secretary Xiao says that Mr. Zhou, after doing really well on the exam, is getting a reward from the government of 5 million in cash and a fancy house. She wonders if he has a favorite spot for the mansion or if they should pick one for him. RMC pauses to think for a moment. News of his first place win is clearly spreading. He says that he will let her pick it for him. The secretary tells him that teachers from the top 3 universities are coming to see him and asks if he wants a ride before ending the call. RMC goes down, and right then, someone shows up in front of him. He sees this person and realizes they are already there. A teacher from Rongyong University is in front of RMC for recruitment. The same bald old man is talking badly about RMC again when the teachers from 4 universities come to recruit him. Zhou is taken aback by the unexpected arrival of the teacher from Rongyong University. A different voice chimes in, recalling that Yong University thinks Zhou is too full of himself. When they heard the unusual voice, Zhou and the man turned their gaze upward, spotting someone coming down from a helicopter. An unknown person keeps saying that Zhou is getting criticized for being too arrogant. She wants to know why he is here today. Upon hearing these words, the recruitment teacher from Rongyong University advises to be mindful of their language. Jiao and Fu is unable to recognize the reality and is let go from the university. After saying this, he offers RMC 4 million if he goes to their university. At the same time, the guy from the helicopter lands and chuckles, saying that whatever offers Rongyong University made, Moto University will match it with double. Moto University has Zhou. Everyone leaves as soon as they can. The Rongyong University teacher feels a bit angry after hearing such things because he is being repeatedly interrupted. Zhou was being courted by multiple universities, each eager to have him join their school. Representatives from different schools tried to outdo one another with offers and promises. One representative from MO University confidently told Zhou that they would double the offer given by Rongyong University, thinking that this would easily convince him to reject other offers. But then, out of nowhere, a woman from Qingjing University took a more aggressive approach. Using her magic powers, she forcefully tried to carry Zhou away with her, intending to take him to her university. The other representatives immediately reacted, threatening her and demanding she release him, warning that if she didn't, they would take action against her. However, the woman didn't let go. Instead, she began to persuade Zhou, saying that if he chose Qingjing University and stayed there for 4 years, he would receive top-tier cultivation resources, grade A quality, every year trying to tempt him further with the benefits her school could provide. The situation grew even more competitive when another representative, a woman from Sukong University, spoke up. She challenged the offer made by the lady from Qingjing University, assuring Zhou that Sukong University could match whatever Qingjing was offering. She confidently stated that her university could provide the same level of resources and benefits. Not to be outdone, the man from MO University chimed in again, telling Zhou that his university could not only provide grade A cultivation resources every year, but would also supply him with a full set of golden grade equipment annually, an additional perk to sway his decision. After all the back and forth, the woman from Qingjing University, who had earlier used magic to lift Zhou into the air, finally set him back down. She apologized to Zhou for her actions, explaining that it wasn't an act of kidnapping, but rather she just wanted to have a private, intimate conversation with him to better explain her university's offer. Now that all the universities had presented their cases, she urged Zhou to make his decision, as they had all done their best to convince him. The lady from Sukong University formally introduced herself as Su Meier, one of the recruitment teachers at the university. Speaking with confidence, she began to explain to Zhou the core values and philosophy of Sukong University. Su Meier emphasized that Sukong placed a strong focus on strength and personal growth. The school highly valued power and the ability to continuously improve oneself. To drive her point home, Su Mei mentioned that students who reached the prestigious Earth rank or Heaven rank at Su Kong would not only be rewarded with the standard grade A cultivation resources. In fact, they would be given access to the even more powerful and valuable grade S resources. These top-tier resources were highly sought after and could significantly enhance a student's abilities. Her message was clear. Su Kong offered the opportunity for even greater rewards, but only for those willing to put in the effort and prove their strength. Su Mei continued by boasting about Su Kong University's impressive track record in various competitions. She proudly mentioned that Su Kong had consistently come in first place in these competitions, showcasing the strength and success of their students. She wanted Zhou Yi to see that Su Kong wasn't just about promises. It was a place that produced real results. However, this talk about competitions didn't sit well with the other lady, who represented Qingjing University. She became angry, feeling that Su Mei was being arrogant, especially since she was bragging about her school's wins. It seemed to touch a nerve, as if Su Mei was rubbing it in that Su Kong had done better than Qingjing University in the past. Su Mei, not one to back down, responded with confidence. She told the other lady that she had every reason to be proud and even a bit arrogant since Su Kong University had more wins than Qingjing University. While the two ladies from Su Kong and Qingjing University were busy exchanging words, Zhou Yi quietly reflected on the situation. He was deep in thought, carefully considering which university would be the best fit for him. He knew that all three universities, MODU, Qingjing, and Su Kong, had a lot to offer and could provide him with a promising future. Each school had made their case, but after weighing his options, Zhou Yi felt that Su Kong University would suit him the best. It aligned with his goals and ambitions, and he believed it was the right choice for his growth and development. As soon as Zhou Yi made his decision, the lady from Qingjing University looked disappointed. She felt a bit down, realizing that Su Kong University had won Zhou Yi over once again. However, she kept her composure and approached Zhou Yi with a kind offer. She told him that if he ever became uncomfortable or unhappy at Su Kong University, he was welcome to join Qingjing University at any time. It was her way of leaving the door open for him, even though she had lost this time. Su Mei, pleased with Zhou Yi's choice, quickly handed him the contract papers to make his decision official. When Zhou Yi opened the contract, something unexpected caught his attention. The way Su Mei had shown him the contract was done through a skill called staffless casting, a technique that only high-tier mages could master. This surprised Zhou Yi because casting magic without a staff was incredibly difficult, and only the most powerful mages could do it. Curious, Zhou Yi asked Su Mei what her level was, wondering just how strong she really was. Su Mei smiled and told him that she was a level 43 second awakened mage. Zhou Yi was shocked by this revelation. Based on Su Mei's youthful appearance and relaxed demeanor, he hadn't thought she was that powerful. She didn't even look like she was at level 30, much less level 43. Seeing his surprise, Su Mei explained further. She told Zhou Yi that the world was vast and filled with many powerful people. While she might seem strong now, he would encounter many other incredible individuals when he entered Su Kong University. She assured him that the university would challenge him and help him grow, as there were even stronger people out there waiting for him to meet. Zhou Yi was thrilled to hear Su Mei's words. He had always been eager to learn more about the world of cultivation and to unlock his full potential. He knew deep down that if he received the cultivation system offered at Su Kong University, no one his age would be able to match his strength. He was determined to rise quickly, eager to face as many opponents as possible and grow stronger at a fast pace. With excitement building inside him, Zhou Yi immediately signed the contract, a smile spreading across his face. Even Su Mei noticed how eager he was to start his journey. She liked that fighting spirit in him, as it showed he had the drive to succeed. Once the contract was signed, Su Mei turned to Zhou Yi and explained the next steps. She told him that he had 1 week to pack up his belongings and prepare for the move. After that, in another week, she would come to pick him up and take him to Su Kong University. Zhou Yi was a bit surprised by how soon everything was happening. He asked if the semester at Su Kong University was starting so early, and Su Mei nodded in response. She explained that special recruits like him were given the highest level of cultivation training, which allowed them to strengthen themselves much faster than regular students. This early start was designed to help them reach their full potential quickly, so they could perform better in important events, such as the National Freshman Exchange Contest. Su Mei's words filled Zhou Yi with even more excitement, as he realized he would have the opportunity to compete at a national level and prove his strength against other top students. After giving him this information, Su Mei took her leave, leaving Zhou Yi filled with anticipation for the journey ahead. Zhou Yi went to meet his sister, Zhou Yun, after receiving the house that the government had gifted them. Both siblings were taken to the new house, and Zhou Yun was amazed by how large and luxurious it was. The house had 3 floors, and each floor had its own purpose, making it a perfect place for them to live. Secretary Zhao, who had been responsible for organizing the house, explained everything in detail to Zhou Yi, from how the rooms were arranged to how the house would function for them. After Secretary Zhao finished explaining and was about to leave, Zhou Yi stopped him. He had a special request to make. Zhou Yi asked Secretary Zhao if he could help take care of Zhou Yun while he was away at Sukong University. Zhou Yun wasn't fully healed yet, and even though Qing, their trusted friend, would be staying with her, Zhou Yi wanted someone else to keep an eye on her as well, just to be sure she was safe and well. He knew that he couldn't be around all the time, and it gave him peace of mind to know that someone responsible like Secretary Zhao would be looking out for her. Secretary Zhao agreed to Zhou Yi's request, assuring him that he would help care for Zhou Yun when needed. Before Zhou Yi left, Zhou Yun was getting ready for school, and he took a moment to remind her of a few important things. He told her to make sure she called him if there were any problems or if she ever needed anything. He also reminded her not to forget about the pills she had been prescribed for her recovery. He wanted her to stay on track with her healing, and he knew it was important for her to follow the doctor's instructions. Zhou Yi also mentioned that Secretary Zhao would help arrange things for her at school later, so he urged Zhou Yun to listen to him and follow his guidance while he was away. After making sure his sister was settled, Zhou Yi said his goodbyes, gave her a hug, and got ready to leave. He stepped into the car that Su Mei had brought to take him to Sukong University. As the car drove away from the house, it was clear from Zhou Yi's face that he was reluctant to leave his sister, Zhou Yun, behind. He kept glancing back through the car window, trying to catch another glimpse of her, worried about how she would manage without him around. Seeing his behavior, Su Mei, who was driving, asked him if this was his first time traveling a long distance. She could tell from the way he was acting that this journey was new to him. Zhou Yi nodded and replied that it was indeed his first time. Hearing this, Su Mei smiled and told him to be prepared, hinting that the road ahead would hold many new experiences for him. After they had traveled a little further, something surprising happened. Instead of continuing the drive, Su Mei suddenly used teleportation magic. In an instant, they were no longer on the road, but standing right in front of Sukong University. Zhou Yi was completely shocked. He hadn't realized that teleportation magic could be used so casually for something like travel, and it took him a moment to process what had just happened. He began thinking about how useful such magic could be, and even considered telling Priestess Cui to send a request to the city government for a miniature teleportation magic array. It seemed like such a convenient and powerful tool, and Zhou Yi realized how much it could help with travel back in his own city. As they stopped in front of the Grand School gate of Sukong University, Zhou Yi couldn't help but stare in awe at everything around him. Su Mei took a moment to explain the situation to him. She told Zhou Yi that Sukong University worked closely with the military, which was why they had built a large teleportation array near the school. The array was confirmed to be both safe and convenient, allowing quick transportation for special purposes like bringing recruits to the campus. Zhou Yi was fascinated by all the activity going on around him. He couldn't stop staring at the students and people walking around the school gate. Su Mei continued leading Zhou Yi through Sukong University's vast campus when something unexpected drew his attention. A commotion unfolded nearby as a man, identified as Master Jin, was flung into the air by a burst of magic. He was forced into an awkward series of somersaults before crashing down to the ground. Zhou Yi was startled by the sight, especially when he realized that a woman had cast the powerful spell on him. The woman, unfazed by the attention she had drawn, sternly warned Master Jin not to repeat his inappropriate behavior. It turned out that Master Jin had a bad reputation for trying to take advantage of new students each semester. He was notorious for attempting to pick up or harass young juniors, and this time, it seemed he had gone too far. His public punishment brought a sense of satisfaction to many of the onlookers, as they all knew he had finally received the justice he deserved. Zhou Yi, who was watching closely, immediately sensed something unique about the lady who cast the spell. The magic she used had a distinct pattern, and Zhou Yi recognized it as a demonic bloodline magic, something rare and incredibly powerful. He was both amazed and cautious, as demonic bloodlines were known for their strength and their unique abilities. Seeing the surprise on Zhou Yi's face, Su Mei calmly explained the situation. She told him that it was not unusual to encounter students and teachers at Sukong University who came from different bloodlines, including demonic, divine, or elemental bloodlines. Each person's heritage brought its own special abilities and powers. Su Mei advised Zhou Yi not to be shocked if he encountered more individuals with strange or powerful abilities, as bloodline magic was common at the university. Zhou Yi, reflecting on the diverse student body at Sukong University, made a promise to Su Mei. He vowed not to be hostile toward anyone as long as they were on the side of humanity, regardless of their race. Despite the tragic circumstances surrounding his past and the loss he suffered due to the demon race, he was determined not to hold a grudge against all demons. He believed in judging individuals by their actions rather than their bloodlines, which showcased his maturity and open-mindedness. Su Mei was pleased to hear Zhou Yi's commitment. It showed that he had a strong character and an understanding of the complexities of their world. To acknowledge his enrollment and his new status as a student, she handed him his student ID card. However, when Zhou Yi took the card and looked at it, he was surprised by what he saw. His rank and score were displayed prominently, and he couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and confusion. Noticing his bewilderment, Su Mei decided to clarify how the university's ranking system worked. She explained that each student had their own rank based on their strength and performance. The stronger a student was, the higher their rank. Freshmen, like Zhou Yi, were ranked according to their performance on the entrance exam, and Zhou Yi had scored the highest, which meant he was recognized as the strongest among the new students. However, Su Mei cautioned him that this ranking was temporary. In a month, there would be a freshman competition where their ranks would be rearranged based on their results in that event. This competition would determine who truly deserved to hold the top spots. With a serious tone, Su Mei alerted Zhou Yi to be prepared, as everyone would be targeting him because of his high rank. Many would likely try to dethrone him, hoping to take his position as the strongest freshman. Zhou Yi understood the challenge ahead, but felt a surge of determination. He wasn't ready to relinquish his first place to anyone, and the thought of competing only fueled his resolve to prove himself even further. Su Mei then moved on to explain the scoring system at Sukong University. Freshmen receive scores based on their rankings, and these scores can be used for many things like meals, equipment, potions, and more. If a student has enough scores, they can get almost anything they want, even powerful S-class skills and valuable resources. But there are two other ways to earn scores besides ranking. The first is through score missions. Students can use their ID cards to log into the mission board, where they can find suitable missions to complete. Every time they finish a mission, they receive scores as a reward. The second way to earn scores is through the Heaven and Earth rank. Students who achieve certain ranks get a set amount of scores based on their ranking. Su Mei mentioned that Sukong University has about 5,000 students, many of whom want to enter the Heaven and Earth rank. After explaining the scoring system, Su Mei described Su Kang's 3 realms: the Goblin Dungeon, the Distorted Forest, and Purgatory. Each realm has its own entry levels, meaning students must meet specific requirements to enter. Additionally, students need to spend a certain amount of scores to gain access to these realms. To help him improve his skills, Su Mei offered him the chance to use a training room. In this room, he could practice and increase his level by facing opponents, which could be either robots or real people. But she also shared an important tip for surviving at Sukong University. The strongest person has absolute authority, no matter how many resources they possess. As Su Mei was giving Zhou Yi a tour of the campus, they encountered several other students along the way. The students greeted Su Mei warmly, and she responded politely, but they continued walking past them. The other students couldn't help but wonder why Su Mei was personally taking Zhou Yi around. Usually, new students were led by seniors or traveled in groups, so this was unusual. One student named Wang Li explained to the others that Zhou Yi was a special recruitment student. Because of this, he had a specific teacher assigned to help him settle in. The school does this to help special students become familiar with the campus quickly and to make it easier for different houses to recruit them later on. Wang Li went on to reveal that Zhou Yi was actually ranked first for that term, which surprised everyone. They were even more astonished to learn that he was a level 13 Saint Knight. Saint Knights are known for their support abilities, and it raised questions about how a level 14 berserker named Shun Ling Feng managed to secure the second position. Everyone thought that a berserker, known for their offensive power, should naturally surpass a heavy support class like a Saint Knight. Zhou Yi hadn't walked too far when a guy approached him with a confident demeanor. The guy introduced himself as Lu Jing, a level 13 punishment knight, and he challenged Zhou Yi, having heard that Zhou Yi was ranked 001. Lu Jing seemed eager to prove himself, but a senior nearby stepped in, trying to calm Lu Jing down. The senior advised him not to fight, but Lu Jing dismissed the warning, believing in his own capabilities. As word spread, other students began to gather around, eager to watch the showdown. They all believed that being a Saint Knight meant Zhou Yi was at a disadvantage, thinking Lu Jing, with his punishment knight class, would easily win the fight. Zhou Yi, however, hadn't immediately accepted the challenge. Instead, he asked Lu Jing why he should accept. Lu Jing quickly promised that if Zhou Yi won, he would reward him with 100 scores, but if Zhou Yi lost, he wouldn't have to give anything in return. After considering Lu Jing's offer, Zhou Yi realized that accepting the challenge could enhance his reputation. He knew that to make a strong impression, he needed to be more formidable in his approach, ensuring the other students remembered who he was. With a calculated decision, Zhou Yi accepted the challenge, but with a twist. He demanded that Lu Jing must make it to 300 points first. Lu Jing was taken aback by this condition, and the students watching felt the tension in the air. They understood that this was a significant risk for Lu Jing. If he lost, it would not only damage his reputation, but also cost him heavily in points. Zhou Yi had been keeping track of his score, which was 400, placing him in the rank of 040. He also knew that Lu Jing, who ranked 038, would likely have a score close to his. Feeling confident about his own abilities, Zhou Yi was eager for a challenge. As he waited, he noticed that Lu Jing seemed to hesitate for a moment. Zhou Yi interpreted this pause as a sign that Lu Jing was not quite ready for the challenge. With that thought, he decided to step away from the situation. However, just as he turned to leave, Lu Jing called him back, expressing his readiness to risk his 300 points for the fight. Surprised but intrigued by Lu Jing's determination, Zhou Yi turned back to face him. Lu Jing suggested they enter the battle ring, but Zhou Yi, already feeling confident, insisted they skip that part. He boldly promised that he could make Lu Jing kneel in just 3 moves. To add tension to the challenge, he declared that if Lu Jing did not go down to his knees within those moves, he would accept defeat. Su Mei was also present during the tense moment, and she took it upon herself to help set the stage for the fight. She positioned herself between Zhou Yi and Lu Jing, counting down to the start of the battle. Before they began, she warned both sides not to use any killing moves, emphasizing that it was meant to be a display of skill rather than a life-or-death struggle. As the countdown reaches 0, the battle commenced. Lu Jing wasted no time, launching an aggressive attack right out of the gate. He was confident that his class, the Punishment Knight, was superior in dealing damage compared to Zhou Yi's Saint Knight class, which was primarily focused on support abilities. Lu Jing thought that if he could strike quickly before Zhou Yi had a chance to use any buffs or enhancements, he could secure an early advantage. With each strike, Lu Jing aimed to showcase his power, hoping to impress the onlookers, especially the lady with the demonic bloodline who had previously shown interest in Zhou Yi. Lu Jing wanted her to see him as a formidable opponent, believing that if he could defeat Zhou Yi swiftly, it would elevate his status in front of her and the other students. Lu Jing was determined to take Zhou Yi down quickly, so he unleashed his blood splash magic, thinking it would overwhelm his opponent. However, to his shock, Zhou Yi simply kicked through the magic with one of his legs, and the impact sent Lu Jing crashing to his knees, blood gushing from his nose. Zhou Yi was equally surprised. He had expected more resilience from Lu Jing, but found him disappointingly weak after just one hit. As the senior who had been trying to mediate noticed Lu Jing's sudden collapse, he rushed over to Su Mei. Out of breath, he reported that Lu Jing had broken 5 ribs and was suffering from internal bleeding, all from that single kick. Su Mei wasn't surprised. She had anticipated that Zhou Yi would demonstrate extraordinary strength. Calmly, she instructed the senior to take Lu Jing to the priest for treatment. In the midst of the commotion, Su Mei promptly issued Zhou Yi's 300 scores, which were instantly transferred to his student card. The other students stood there, mouths agape, unable to comprehend what they had just witnessed. They had all thought that Lu Jing would be a formidable opponent, especially with his blood slash technique, which was notoriously difficult to block. Yet, Zhou Yi had neutralized it with seemingly effortless power. As they processed the scene, the students began to realize the true extent of Zhou Yi's abilities. He was not just another student. He was the top-ranked 001 for a reason. The white-haired lady with the demonic bloodline was taken aback by Zhou Yi's incredible performance. She knew that there was only a 20-point difference in strength stats between Lu Jing and Zhou Yi, yet the battle had showcased such a clear disparity in their abilities. Intrigued by this, she decided she wanted to challenge Zhou Yi herself to experience his power firsthand. With a confident stride, she approached Zhou Yi and formally asked for a match. Zhou Yi, intrigued by her strength and beauty, eagerly accepted the challenge. He noticed that she wielded a legendary-grade weapon known as the Legacy, which further piqued his interest. This was an opportunity not just to showcase his abilities, but also to impress the lady. After the countdown concluded, the two began to fight. Zhou Yi took the initiative, wielding his Mystic Light Warhammer. With a powerful swing, he activated the Typhoon Smash technique, raising the hammer high above his head before crashing it down with incredible force. The sheer impact sent shockwaves through the arena, aiming to deal significant damage to the lady. In response, she demonstrated her agility and skill. Channeling lightning, she moved with great speed, dodging Zhou Yi's attack while simultaneously striking back. The clash of their powers created a dazzling display of light and energy, captivating the audience. Despite the intensity of the battle, she couldn't help but admire Zhou Yi's strength. As they exchanged blows, she recognized that his power was indeed monstrous, a quality she had not anticipated. As the fight continued, Zhou Yi felt a surge of happiness. He had finally found an opponent who challenged him in a way that excited him. Both he and the white-haired lady used their magic powers skillfully, exchanging blows and defending against each other's attacks. The battle reached a stalemate, with neither side gaining a clear advantage. The students watching were bewildered by the intensity of the fight. They had never witnessed a duel between two freshmen that was so powerful and skillful. It felt almost as if they were watching seasoned warriors instead of students. Among the crowd, Li Dongsheng, a level 29 spearman and captain of the Aurora class, observed the fight with keen interest. He quickly deduced that if neither fighter had a hidden trump card, the lady would likely lose soon. A senior standing next to Li Dongsheng expressed disbelief, thinking the two were evenly matched. Sensing the senior's confusion, Li Dong explained his reasoning. He pointed out that while the lady could block one swing out of the 3 attacks Zhou Yi made, she would have to block 1 out of 2 with her sword. Li Dong understood that heavy weapon users, like Zhou Yi, often fight by defending and retreating to conserve their stamina. They also take advantage of openings to strike hard when they see a chance. However, Li Dong noticed something troubling. Zhou Yi showed no signs of conserving his stamina during the fight, leading Li Dong to wonder whether he was simply overconfident or unaware of the strategy. From the start of the battle, the weight of Zhou Yi's Mystic Light Warhammer had already begun to limit the lady's movements. She was forced to focus on blocking the powerful swings of the hammer, which made it increasingly difficult for her to launch her own attacks. As the fight continued, Li Dong couldn't help but wonder why Zhou Yi was so hot-headed, choosing to fight against such a beautiful lady. Despite the escalating intensity of the battle, Zhou Yi remained focused and determined. To enhance his abilities, he combined several gifts: the gift of courage, weapon blessing, blessing of dawn, and the gift of protection. With these enhancements, Li Dong was able to sense Zhou Yi's true strength, which seemed to surge beyond what he had previously demonstrated. In a decisive move, Zhou Yi unleashed the Spear of Victory, surrounding the lady with the ethereal spear before she could even draw her own weapon. Caught off guard, she stood there speechless, unable to react. Sensing her surprise, Zhou Yi asked if she still wanted to continue the fight. She replied no, acknowledging that the results would likely be the same against such overwhelming aggression. With a graceful nod, she admitted defeat for the moment. However, Zhou Yi sensed that she hadn't used all of her power during the match. He had noticed that she didn't tap into her swordsman skills or her dark elemental abilities, which intrigued him. The lady, recognizing that Zhou Yi was perceptive, explained that she had intentionally held back because it was just a sparring session. She didn't want to reveal her trump cards so early on. Moreover, she acknowledged that Zhou Yi had also not shown his full strength. She revealed that she had seen his exam video, which had showcased his true potential, and she had expected more from him in their duel. Intrigued by their exchange and the mutual respect forming between them, the lady suggested that Zhou Yi add her as a friend so they could chat more easily and arrange for another sparring session in the future. After an eventful day, Zhou Yi left the arena alongside Su Mei, who couldn't stop reflecting on all that had transpired. She had seen Zhou Yi earn an incredible 600 points on his very first day at Sukong University, an achievement that left a strong impression. Not only had he demonstrated his impressive skills and potential, but his performance also made other special recruits wary of him, signaling that he was a force to be reckoned with. As they continued walking, Su Mei guided Zhou Yi to a small mountain where the freshman dormitory was located. She explained the setup of the accommodations, pointing out the clear distinction between the regular students and the special recruits. The dormitory for regular students was spread out at the foot of the mountain and along the mountainside, offering decent housing. However, the dormitory for special recruits like Zhou Yi was situated at the very top of the mountain. This exclusive position symbolized the status, importance, and privileges that came with being a special recruit at Sukong University. Su Mei elaborated further on the special recruits dormitory, explaining that it consisted of independent mansions, each uniquely designed. The luxury and equipment available in these mansions were determined by the students' ranks. After arriving at his room in the special recruits dormitory, Zhou Yi took a moment to settle in and appreciate his new surroundings. The accommodations were indeed luxurious, far beyond what he had expected. However, before Su Mei left, she had some important information to share regarding the Freezing Lotus, a rare item Zhou Yi had expressed interest in. Su Mei explained that she had heard of a party that had found the Freezing Lotus in the Tempest Mountain range about 6 years ago. However, they had ultimately given up on collecting it due to the high-level monsters guarding the lotus. She added that, while this was the information she had, she wasn't entirely sure of its accuracy since so much time had passed since the event. Zhou Yi listened carefully, realizing that the Tempest Mountain range was not just a simple location. This range had formed after Earth merged with the Eternal Game, resulting in a vast and dangerous area filled with various treasures, exotic flora, and fauna. It was a place so perilous that even tertiary awakened classes thought twice before entering, as the monsters that resided there were exceptionally powerful. Reflecting on this, Zhou Yi understood that with his current strength, he was in no position to confront a high-level monster directly. He would need to strategize and strengthen himself before considering an expedition to such a treacherous area. The thought of the Freezing Lotus excited him, but he knew he had to be realistic about his capabilities. Zhou Yi recalled that the system had rewarded him with a life-saving item after completing the exam, a resurrection ability that would allow him to come back after death. This revelation gave him confidence, eliminating any hesitation he had about venturing into dangerous territories. He quickly prepared to head out, eager to equip himself with skills and equipment that would aid him on his journey. First, Zhou Yi focused on purchasing some skills. He opted for immunity to physical damage, considering it a reliable skill that would protect him even without a weapon. Additionally, he acquired a long-range attack skill, which he felt would complement his combat style nicely. To his delight, all the skills he purchased were free, as they were all classified as Grade A. However, he knew that he would need to spend points to collect the first set of rewards from the exam. With his new skills acquired, Zhou Yi made his way to the Tempest Mountain Range. He spent a significant amount of points on set equipment to ensure he was adequately prepared for the challenges that awaited him. The gear was designed to enhance his stealth and survival capabilities in the wild, making it a valuable investment. As he ventured into the forest, his communication device buzzed with a message from Jiangchu Ran, the lady he had sparred with earlier. She greeted him and asked if they could head to the Tempest Mountain Range together the next day. Zhou Yi hesitated for a moment, but replied that he was currently unavailable. Curious, Jiangchu Ran inquired about where he was, and Zhou Yi informed her that he was already in the Tempest Mountain Range. Meanwhile, Jiangchu Ran found herself lost in thought as she stared at her phone, her mind preoccupied with Zhou Yi. Her sister, noticing her behavior, counted that it was the 23rd time that day she had looked at her device. Curious about what had captured her attention so completely, her sister asked what was wrong. With a dreamy smile, Jiangchu Ran explained that she had met a guy she challenged the day before. She revealed that she had used some of her charm abilities during their fight, but to her surprise, he hadn't been affected at all. As she recounted the details of their sparring session, it became clear that Jiangchu Ran was already developing feelings for Zhou Yi. Her sister raised an eyebrow, teasing her about the sudden shift in her demeanor. Determined to see him again and learn more about this intriguing guy, Jiangchu Ran made the decision to head to the Tempest Mountain Range as well. At the same time, deep within the Tempest Mountain Range, a party of magicians was engaged in a fierce battle against the high-level monsters that roamed the area. Mechanics Zhu Xiao, utilizing his mechanical magic, deployed various magical gadgets to combat the creatures. He was a master of engineering and magic, using his skills to create traps and devices that hindered the monsters' movements. Beside him, Summoner Wen Tianrun was in the midst of her spirit's summoning magic, calling upon her spirit companion, Irene. Together, they unleashed powerful freezing spells that encased the monsters in ice, momentarily immobilizing them and allowing their party to strategize their next move. Zhu Dan, the gunner, expertly wielded his fur gun, a unique weapon designed for both rapid fire and elemental attacks. He took careful aim, shooting at the monsters with precision, taking advantage of any openings created by his teammates' spells. Lastly, swordsman Su Qing Lian was a fierce warrior, her sword skills dazzling as she danced through the battlefield. With the combined efforts of mechanics Zhu Xiao, summoner Wen Tianrun, gunner Zhu Dan, and swordsman Su Qing Lian, the party felt confident they could conquer the monsters that had been plaguing them. However, unbeknownst to them, a pack of demons lurked just behind, watching their every move. These demons thrived on chaos and violence, and their appetite for living beings had led them to set their sights on the magicians. As the battle raged on, the demons charged in, fierce and relentless. The party quickly realized that they were outmatched. Despite using nearly all their trump cards, they had only managed to take down 4 of the demons. Doubt began to seep into their minds, and panic set in as they contemplated the very real possibility of not making it out alive. Just as the situation seemed dire, Zhou Yi arrived on the scene. Sensing the struggle, he wasted no time in joining the fray. Drawing upon his sacred storm magic, he unleashed a powerful bombardment on the area where the demons had gathered. The energy erupted with a blinding light, scattering debris and sending some monsters flying. But the demons were resilient. They stood their ground, ready to face this new challenger. Zhou Yi was in action, unleashing a devastating attack on a horde of monsters. The sheer power of his strike left the battlefield in flames. Afterward, he patted the demonic beast he was riding, which released a blast of chilling air, cooling down the fire caused by the attack. Nearby, a group of students who had nearly been killed by the monsters watched in awe. Noticing their dire condition, Zhou Yi activated his healing abilities, tending to their wounds. The group expressed their deep gratitude for his timely intervention and were surprised that he seemed to recognize them. Zhou Yi calmly replied that he was well aware of who they were, acknowledging them as one of the top 3 teams at the school, the Blue Phoenix team. One of the members of the Blue Phoenix team, clearly concerned for Zhou Yi's well-being, offered him some advice. They pointed out that while his light element abilities were incredibly powerful and effective against the demons, it was still dangerous for him to continue pushing forward without proper support. The students suggested that they all return to their base together to restock on supplies and ensure they were prepared for any upcoming challenges. The battle had taken a toll on everyone, and regrouping seemed like a smart idea. Zhou, however, didn't immediately respond. His mind was elsewhere, contemplating the challenges ahead. Over the past month, he had scoured the outer regions relentlessly in search of a rare and elusive item, the Frozen Lotus. It was a powerful, highly sought-after artifact that could greatly enhance his abilities. Despite all his efforts, though, he hadn't found a single trace of it. Time was running out. The freshman competition, one of the most important events for new students, was only 3 days away. Zhou knew that participating in the competition was crucial for his growth and recognition within the university. As he weighed his options, Zhou realized that continuing his search for the Frozen Lotus now would be futile. The competition required his full focus, and searching for the artifact would have to wait. He couldn't risk exhausting himself before the big event. After a few moments of quiet reflection, Zhou finally nodded in agreement with the Blue Phoenix member's suggestion. As the group settled into the massive mecca for transport, they began their journey back to Sukong University, the machine's powerful engines roaring as it sped across the terrain. Zhou sat in silence, his mind racing with thoughts about the recent events at the Tempest Mountain Range. Something felt off. The sudden appearance of demons in an area that had long been known for its relative safety was troubling. He began piecing together what he knew, trying to make sense of the situation. The Blue Phoenix team, including Senior Su, had ventured into the outer areas of the Tempest Mountain Range countless times without ever encountering demons. The fact that they had come across them now meant something had changed. Zhou reasoned that the demons could have either come from deeper within the mountains, regions yet unexplored, or there could be a more ominous explanation. A dimensional crack might have opened nearby, allowing the demons to escape into this world. This thought troubled him deeply. Dimensional cracks were dangerous and unpredictable, often leading to catastrophic events if left unchecked. The possibility of more demons, or even more powerful creatures, emerging was too great of a threat to ignore. Senior Su's decision to head back to the school was the right one. The situation required immediate attention, and the military needed to be informed. Zhou pondered whether there was a mage monitoring the entire area within the military zone. Senior Su explained the situation in detail. The Tempest Mountain Range was notorious for housing a variety of monsters, and to prevent these creatures from escaping and attacking nearby cities, the military had established a resupply and trading base at the entrance of the mountains. The army was responsible for protecting a mage's tower situated nearby, which was tasked with monitoring monster movements throughout the region. However, Senior Su clarified that the mage tower focused primarily on tracking epic and legendary-level monsters deeper within the mountain range. If the presence of lesser creatures from another world fell below the mage tower's minimum detection threshold, the tower would fail to recognize them. This limitation meant that low-level monsters could potentially slip through undetected, which made their sudden appearance all the more concerning. Yet, a troubling thought crossed Senior Su's mind. If there was indeed a dimensional crack allowing monsters to enter their world, it was perplexing that only low-level monsters were emerging. Typically, if powerful demons were escaping through a dimensional rift, one would expect them to be higher-level threats. The presence of weaker monsters suggested something else entirely. If these low-level creatures were found by the military, they would be exterminated without hesitation. Meanwhile, the implications of a dimensional crack that could permit level 30 demons to enter their world also meant that higher-level demons, those of level 50 or above, could potentially pass through as well. Senior Su reflected on the chaos this could cause. If the other world was indeed sending in these demons, it would not only result in a significant loss of life, but also risk exposing the location of the crack itself. The thought of such reckless actions overwhelmed her, and she decided that the best course of action would be to deliver this critical intelligence to her superiors. They would need to handle the situation with more expertise and resources. As she contemplated these concerns, the atmosphere around them shifted dramatically. A multitude of demons surged with excitement, their voices rising in a chorus of eager murmurs. They seemed to be anticipating something, and it became clear that their fervor was linked to an impending event. Suddenly, a brilliant purple light erupted into the sky, illuminating the area around them. This striking phenomenon caught Zhou and the Blue Phoenix team's attention as well. The sight of the purple light sent a wave of unease through the group. It was evident that something significant was happening, and the team instinctively understood that someone must be in danger, surrounded by the very demons they had just been discussing. Zhou felt a sense of urgency wash over him as he made the decision to investigate the source of the purple light. He offered to scout the area while urging the Blue Phoenix team to head back to the base, promising them he would catch up later. Although the team called after him, expressing their concern about the danger of venturing alone, he paid them no mind. Instead, he swiftly hopped onto his demonic beast and leaped out of the mecha, the wind whipping around him as he descended. Once on the ground, he quickly donned his Saint Knight armor, the familiar weight and protection of the gear settling over him like a second skin. He was well aware of who the person surrounded by the demons was, but he couldn't shake the question of why she had chosen to come to the Tempest Mountain range. The situation was increasingly complicated, and he felt compelled to reach her before things escalated further. Meanwhile, another team was sitting in a circle nearby, discussing the chaos unfolding around them. They were acutely aware of the danger posed by the 20 platinum demons surrounding the individual who was now in peril. As they deliberated whether to intervene, a sense of helplessness permeated their discussion. They were trapped where they were, unable to escape the confines of their own situation. The thought of rushing into such a dangerous scenario was daunting, and they weighed the potential risks carefully. Ultimately, they concluded that intervening was too risky. Even if they wanted to help, they lacked the strength to protect themselves, let alone someone else. However, as they assessed the strength of the person surrounded by the demons, they recognized that if she could escape from such a dire situation, she would undoubtedly possess great potential and a bright future ahead of her. Zhang Chuan was locked in a fierce battle against the surrounding demons, unleashing powerful slashes from her weapon with precision and skill. Each strike was a desperate attempt to fend off the relentless onslaught, but she quickly realized that the demons were more strategic than she had initially thought. They appeared to be waiting, surrounding her without launching any direct attacks, and it dawned on her that they were aware of the time limit on her skills. This realization struck her with a wave of anxiety. They were playing a waiting game, hoping to deplete her strength before making their move. Zhang observed the demons carefully, noting how they moved in groups of 10, scattered across the plains like a dark cloud. Even though she had already taken down 8 of them, she knew that their numbers were quickly replenishing. The continuous influx of demons made any chance of escape to the resupply base seem nearly impossible. Her heart raced with fear at the thought of her powers fading before she could find a way out. If her abilities diminished, she would be vulnerable, exposed to the overwhelming force of the demons. Just as doubt began to creep in, the air around her shifted dramatically. A crack of thunder echoed across the plains, causing the demons to momentarily falter. Zhang turned, her eyes widening in surprise as she saw Zhou Yi arrive at the scene. Without hesitation, he launched a powerful attack against the encircling demons, unleashing a wave of lightning that struck down upon them. The sheer force of the thunderous strike obliterated the demons in an instant, their roars drowned out by the crackling energy that filled the air. As the massive demon succumbed to its berserk mode, it transformed into a raging inferno, its body engulfed in flames that flickered dangerously in the dim light. Zhang Chuan felt a wave of panic wash over her, recognizing the immense threat this transformation posed. She turned to Zhou Yi, her voice filled with urgency, urging him to escape. The berserk state would double the demon's power, and she feared that even Zhou Yi, with all his skills, would be unable to confront such a formidable opponent. In a desperate bid to protect him, she considered self-destructing, knowing there was a 90% chance she could take the demon down with her. But before she could act on her grim thoughts, Zhou Yi surprised her by lifting her effortlessly into his arms, evading the demon's fiery attack with remarkable agility. "Hold on," he exclaimed, a determined glint in his eyes. With Zhang securely in his grasp, he retaliated against the raging demon with a powerful strike, channeling his energy into a spell known as the Punishment of Light. Terrifying bolts of lightning surged through the air, crashing down upon the demons and illuminating the battlefield with blinding intensity. Zhang was momentarily taken aback by Zhou Yi's confidence and skill. As the lightning struck the area, vanquishing several of the surrounding demons, Zhou Yi couldn't help but tease, remarking on how everyone seemed to want to be a mage. "This feels great," he added with a grin, reveling in the thrill of taking out monsters from a distance. However, the momentary reprieve was short-lived. The remaining demons, led by the Berserk One, charged at them with renewed ferocity. Zhou Yi quickly assessed the situation and realized that there were a total of 180 demons in the vicinity. A sense of urgency gripped him as he strategized. He thought about using his area of effect OE skills to manage the overwhelming numbers, but he noticed that the demons were currently scattered, making it challenging to hit them all at once. Zhang Chuan quickly realized that the noise from their previous attacks had attracted the attention of demons scattered across the plains. A sense of urgency filled the air as Zhou Yi recognized the need for a strategic retreat and counterattack. He instructed Zhang to move to the left and lure the demons away, reminding her not to get too caught up in combat. With a steady focus, he activated his healing skills and invoked the buff from the Saint Knight's team, increasing her stats by 25%. As Zhang felt the rush of energy surge through her, she marveled at the effects of the buffs. Her senses sharpened, and she could feel her powers intensifying, almost doubling in strength. It was a thrilling sensation, but it also came with a mixture of disbelief. She was astonished by Zhou Yi's abilities. He was capable of providing such powerful support and fighting with a level of skill that seemed beyond even that of many level 25 Saint Knights. Once he was satisfied with her preparation, Zhou Yi placed her safely on his demonic beast before charging toward the cluster of demons, the berserk one at the forefront. As a demon charged toward Jiang Churen, her demonic beast sprang into action, lunging forward with ferocity. The sudden movement jolted Jiang from her momentary hesitation, and she quickly steeled herself, ready to follow Zhou Yi's instructions. She felt a rush of adrenaline coursing through her veins, fueling her determination to fight alongside him. Meanwhile, Zhou Yi was a whirlwind of motion, unleashing a flurry of slashes against the demons as he moved fluidly through their ranks. His weapon sliced through the air with precision, each strike landing with devastating impact. He was focused, his every move calculated to maximize damage while minimizing risk. However, amidst the chaos, he sensed danger approaching from behind. A demon had taken the opportunity to launch a sneak attack, poised to strike Zhou Yi when he least expected it. But before the demon could carry out its plan, Jiang reacted instinctively. Drawing on the dark miasma that surrounded her, she shaped the energy into a shadow whip, the tendrils of darkness coiling around her arm. With a swift flick of her wrist, she lashed out, the whip extending toward the demon with lethal speed. As the battle raged on, Zhou Yi noticed that most of the demons had been drawn to their location, and he knew it was time to unleash a powerful skill. He turned to Jiang Churen and instructed her to stay within the protective barrier he was about to create, ensuring her safety as he prepared for the next phase of their attack. She nodded, trusting his judgment, and positioned herself inside the shimmering shield that glowed with holy energy. With a focused determination, Zhou Yi unleashed the Holy Cross, a radiant symbol of light that emitted a blinding aura. The holy light surged outward, illuminating the darkened battlefield and vanquishing the demons caught in its range. Jiang watched in awe as the brilliance swept across the area, incinerating the creatures in its wake. She was struck by the sheer power of the attack, realizing just how formidable Zhou Yi truly was. After ensuring the immediate vicinity was clear, Zhou Yi scanned the remaining demons that still posed a threat. He summoned the sacred storm, channeling his energy into a devastating onslaught of holy light blasts. Each blast struck the demons with precision, pulverizing them in a spectacular display of power. The air crackled with energy as the storm raged on, leaving destruction in its wake. Meanwhile, the other team members who had been observing from a distance were stunned by the scene unfolding before them. They watched in disbelief as a single young human, Zhou Yi, fought off a horde of demons with such ease and proficiency. It was a feat they couldn't even hope to accomplish as a team. The contrast between his age and his overwhelming strength was striking, and it left them questioning their own capabilities. Their leader, recognizing the extraordinary potential in Zhou Yi, made a swift decision. They couldn't let such a powerful ally go unnoticed. With renewed determination, the team resolved to approach him and offer their backup. The Blue Phoenix team arrived at the chaotic scene, their hearts racing with anticipation to assist Zhou Yi. However, as they took in the sight before them, their excitement quickly turned to astonishment. All around them lay the defeated bodies of the demons, sprawled across the ground in disarray. The battlefield was littered with remnants of the ferocious battle, but it was clear that the fierce onslaught had already come to an end. Zhou Yi stood amidst the carnage, a look of satisfaction on his face as he surveyed the results of his efforts. It was remarkable. He had just faced down 180 demons and emerged victorious, his prowess evident in the way the bodies lay around him. The sheer scale of the battle was overwhelming, and the Blue Phoenix team couldn't help but feel a mixture of admiration and awe at what they had witnessed. As he caught his breath, Zhou Yi felt a surge of energy coursing through him. His experience points had skyrocketed, and the system notified him that he had reached level 18. 60,000 experience points flooded his senses, a thrilling confirmation of his victory. He couldn't help but reflect on how much more he could have gained if not for the limits imposed on his class, but he still felt a profound sense of achievement. Zhou Yi stood amidst the remnants of the battlefield, a sense of accomplishment swelling within him. Despite his growth and the vast array of high-level skills he had acquired, he realized that simply having these abilities was not enough to fully harness his potential. He contemplated seeking guidance from his teachers upon returning to school, confident that they would possess valuable insights and solutions to optimize his abilities and maximize his growth. Senior Sue observed him with keen interest, struggling to comprehend the extent of his strength. Her curiosity was piqued, and she began to question whether he had indeed handled all of the demons by himself. The display of power he exhibited was far beyond her imagination, leaving her eager to understand the true depth of his capabilities. As Zhou Yi prepared to explain his actions, he noticed Jiang Churen suddenly collapse onto the ground. Concern washed over him as he recognized that she had overexerted herself in the battle, exhausting all her strength in the process. Shifting his attention back to the aftermath of the battle, Zhou Yi reflected on Senior Su's unspoken inquiry regarding the strength of the demons he had faced. He mentally reviewed the encounters and recalled that the highest level among the demons he had defeated were the level 23 gold ones. Senior Su felt a sense of unease. Something didn't feel right. She noticed that a demon legion usually had a general leading them. If the general was missing, it likely meant that the main troops were also absent. She suggested that her team return to the base to resupply. Everyone quickly agreed, knowing that they should trust her instincts. Meanwhile, Zhi Yi and the Blue Phoenix team were finishing up their reconnaissance when they sensed something in the air. A heavy, dark energy began to fill the area, and the sky flashed with intense, demonic lightning. The atmosphere crackled with an unsettling energy, signaling danger. Suddenly, alarms blared from the magic tower, announcing an emergency. A fourth-tier otherworld invasion had been confirmed. Troops sprang into action as the command was sent out. All soldiers were ordered to prepare for battle. The Snow Dragon Corps Knight Squad was told to stop their training and head to the teleportation square immediately. The Snow Dragon Corps was quickly mobilizing as the urgency of the situation escalated. The Priest Squad was instructed to prepare for rescue operations, ensuring their mana reserves were full and ready for any healing or support needed in the coming battle. Meanwhile, the Logistics Squad was tasked with reallocating magic cores and shards, vital resources for powering their spells and defenses. As the preparations continued, a large-scale teleportation formation was arranged for the Mage Squad. They worked quickly to pinpoint the location of the impending battle, ensuring that everyone would be transported directly to the heart of the conflict. Just as everything was coming together, the Snow Dragon Corps Major, Suyu Zhou, arrived on the scene. With a booming voice, he unleashed a battle cry that echoed throughout the ranks of the assembled squads. His presence inspired confidence and courage, and every squad responded in unison, rallying to his call. Suyu Zhou commanded them to move out toward the battlefield, urging them to fight for their realm and their people. Meanwhile, in the demon world, a legion stood at attention, saluting their general. He surveyed his troops, his expression a mix of anger and frustration. In his half-year on Earth, he had only lost a dozen or so of his men. However, he was enraged to learn that, as their time to return to the sacred realm approached, hundreds of his kind had been killed by the humans. With a fierce glare, he addressed his legion. He declared that with half a day remaining before their return, he would grant them the freedom to unleash their fury upon the humans. His words ignited a fire within the demons. They erupted in gratitude, eager to exact their revenge and prove their strength against the human forces. The demon spawn, Urimas, unleashed a powerful summoning skill. From the depths of the demon realm, platinum level, golden level, and legendary level demons materialized, their forms crackling with dark energy. The sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, sending a chill down the spines of those watching. Senior Su's eyes widened in shock as she observed the arrival of these formidable foes. The sheer power radiating from the summoned demons was unlike anything she had encountered before. Realizing the danger that lay ahead, she turned to Zhu Yi, urgency etched on her face. She instructed him to escape immediately, stating that the Blue Phoenix team would buy him the time he needed to get to safety. Her decision was made with a heavy heart, knowing that a genius like Zhu Yi held immense potential for the future. They believed it was more important for him to survive, to grow stronger, and lead another day. Their determination to protect him was unwavering, even if it meant putting their own lives on the line. At that critical moment, the Snow Dragon Corps made their entrance, bolstering the morale of the teams. Senior Su and Zhu Yi felt a wave of relief wash over them. The members of the Snow Dragon Corps were seasoned warriors, all above level 30, having undergone their second awakening. Among them stood Major Suyu Zhou, a formidable presence at level 51, having completed his third awakening. His experience and power gave the group renewed hope. However, Urimas sneered, confidently asserting that the human forces would not be able to breach the barrier of his magic formation. His voice echoed with dark certainty, sending a wave of unease through the ranks of the Snow Dragon Corps and the Blue Phoenix team. As the Snow Dragon Corps began to regroup, they quickly realized that something was off. Their teleportation had landed them far from where Zhu Yi and the others were positioned, leaving them in a precarious situation. A sharp-eyed member of the Corps stepped forward to inspect the area, his brow furrowing as he studied the barrier. Upon closer examination, he discovered the nature of the magic at play. It was the demon's large-scale barrier formation known as the Dark Firewall. The realization hit like a cold wave. Once activated, this barrier prevented any teleportation into or out of its confines. Any outside attacks would be completely blocked, isolating those trapped within. The implications were dire. The Snow Dragon Corps understood that they could not simply teleport into the fray and rescue Zhuo Yi and his team. Breaking through the dark firewall would require an immense amount of power, at least two corps working together to shatter its defenses. Otherwise, they would have to wait for the barrier to disperse on its own, a situation that could leave Zhuo Yi and the Blue Phoenix team vulnerable to the demon's onslaught. The dark firewall was designed to last for 5 minutes, a fact that weighed heavily on the Snow Dragon Corps major. Recognizing the grim reality of their situation, he quickly instructed one of his subordinates to gather information about those trapped inside the barrier. The order was clear: find and record the identities of Zhuo Yi and the others. Once the battle concluded, they could contact their families to retrieve their remains. This chilling instruction revealed the major's resignation to the inevitability of the situation. With no way to break through the barrier, he had effectively given up on Zhuo Yi and his team. Meanwhile, as the tension mounted, Zhuo Yi felt a sudden surge of energy within him. He received a set of notifications from the system, each word lighting a spark of hope in his heart. The message informed him that if he could defeat the demon spawn, Urimas, he would be rewarded with an S+ grade talent known as Fortunate Medicine. A smile broke across Zhuo Yi's face as he read the details of the accomplishment mission. This was an opportunity not only to survive, but also to enhance his abilities significantly. Fueled by determination, he began to emit a thick, holy aura. Urimas caught sight of Zhuo Yi's radiant holy aura and immediately understood the implications. This was the very individual who had slain his kin, igniting a burning rage within him. With a furious roar, he declared that he would face Zhuo Yi alone, vowing to make him suffer in endless agony for his actions. With that, Urimas charged at Zhuo Yi, a menacing figure filled with dark energy, ready to unleash his wrath. Zhuo Yi, fully prepared for the confrontation, gripped his weapon tightly, focusing on the battle ahead. Just as Urimas closed the distance, his monstrous mount loomed behind him, releasing a tremendous blast of energy aimed directly at Zhuo Yi. The sheer force of the attack was terrifying, sending shockwaves through the air. But Zhuo Yi stood his ground, summoning his own power. With a swift and decisive swing of his weapon, he retaliated against the incoming blast, channeling his holy aura into the strike. Zhuo Yi and his companions continued to unleash their magic powers against the fierce demon. Despite their efforts, the monster seemed unaffected by their attacks. Seeing his friend struggle, Zhuo Yi stepped forward and joined the fight, focusing his own magic. This time, his power struck the demon directly, causing it to stagger. The demon was surprised that someone at level 18 could rival its strength. Zhuo Yi felt a mix of excitement and fear as he realized this was his first encounter with a legendary monster. He drew his blade of pure white and struck the demon, successfully inflicting a stun effect. Seizing the moment, he called upon the punishment of light, summoning a brilliant beam to shine down on the demon. However, Urimas was quick to react. He conjured a blazing fire demon shield that flared to life around him, effectively blocking the bright light of Zhuo Yi's holy aura. The shield absorbed the energy, preventing it from reaching the demon and leaving Urimas unharmed. As the battle raged on, both combatants began to exchange powerful beams of light and dark energy, each trying to gain the upper hand. But as the struggle continued, doubts crept into Zhuo Yi's mind. He felt the strain of his attacks against the formidable legendary demon, realizing that his punishment light seemed ineffective. He started to question whether he had the strength to defeat a creature of such immense power. In the heat of the battle, Zhuo Yi remembered the reward he had received from the system. It was time to utilize that power. He focused his thoughts, calling upon the magic that he had gained after completing the exam. Meanwhile, Urimas, sensing Zhuo Yi's moment of hesitation, summoned an army of various demons to overwhelm him. The air thickened with the presence of these dark entities, and they charged toward Zhuo Yi with malicious intent. But before the demons could reach him, Zhuo Yi unleashed the magic he had prepared. Suddenly, the battlefield was illuminated with a brilliant yellow light that erupted from Zhuo Yi's being. The light radiated power and purity, flooding the area and casting aside the shadows that surrounded them. Even the party members, who had been watching in shock, stood dumbfounded as the overwhelming brightness filled their vision. Before the monster would know it, the light suddenly directly shone so bright at him it almost slashed it into two. Everyone could not believe that Zhou Yi had such a powerful skill. Even Chu Ran was shocked, because her succubus bloodline was already getting scared, as the power Zhou Yi used was even enough to rival regular magic cannons. Whereas there were some guys outside, whereby one of them asked the other to go and check those who were inside the Tempest Mountain range, and he was told that those inside were students from Sukong University, as he was told that the one who released the powerful skill they were seeing the light from outside was a first-year special recruit first place. The guy was surprised that it was actually a first-year first-place guy who did that, even though he knew the difference was still huge. But actually, if Zhou he had had more time to grow, the skill alone would have killed the demon spawn. Moreover, the demon was dead yet. Instead, it only got more angry that Zhou he had the guts to offend the great Urimus. Therefore, he called upon the Fire Demon Legion to charge and the Fire Curse Legion to cast. Then some high-ranked demons appeared, as they all aimed at Zhou to get rid of him. They were even about to attack him at a high speed, but then one of them calmed the rest, as they thought that he was not worth using all their energy for, since he is a level 18 Saint Knight. The other monster supported that idea, since he also thought that Zhou he must have run out of mana after multiple battles, because he considered that without mana, they can kill him by overpowering him with their numbers, as they were plenty. Zhou himself knew that all his mana had been consumed, and his equipment's mana recovery speed was also too slow. Therefore, he is alone. So he decided to make use of the Divine Summoning, which is a one-time secret skill from the Saint Knight Hall. It consumed no mana and was not affected by passive skills as well. But after activation, it only allows the user to use the God of Light's power and increase all 4 stats based on the body's durability. However, it was said that all Divine type and Light type skills increase temporarily by addition 5 health. Stamina and mana recovery would also increase by 20 times. Although that effect was said to only last for some time, and then it would enter a period of weakness after that. So, Zhou used it, and immediately he was covered with some powerful aura. The monsters were still watching, trying to understand what was going on, but before they knew what was happening, the aura increased that it started carrying those monsters up in the air, as they yelled in pain.